Welcome to Travel Our Story. I'm Frankie.
And I'm Maya. We are going to share our experience of our
Earthquake situation that came as a shock.
first real earthquake.
Yeah, we're heading into Bangkok from Chiang Mai because we have to do a visa run. And we figured let's spend a day or two in Bangkok. Maya found this really cute Airbnb. We were excited because it's been a while since we've been in a really nice, comfortable apartment. And it was loft style. We were so excited about it. It had all the amenities
All of them. And
that
we'll show you guys.
And we woke up that day like a regular day and went to the gym, enjoyed a really nice workout. And then I went down to get some food that we ordered. Literally, this happened 10 minutes between I went downstairs to get the food and came back, went to go take a shower. And then I heard,
I was sitting on the couch and I'm like, so it's going like this. And I was like, Fran? And then she's like, what? And I was like, the building's moving. So I get up and I move towards her. And then she holds me. She's like, okay, okay. And then I'm like, in my head, all not even my head, my mouth was like, Jesus, Jesus. Every time it was moving, it was like, I was like, Jesus. It was like, shoo. I was like, Jesus. I just kept saying it. And then Fran was like, okay, let's move to the back, like under the beam, because we were in the loft and like the bed was above our head. So the ceiling was lower. And then so we moved closer to like kind of where Fran thought it was a beam. So we
maybe, I
moved
don't know.
there,
I
whatever.
saw it in a movie once.
She's like, okay, so we move under the beam,
Mhm.
and then she holds me tighter, and that thing was not giving up. It was not giving up. So she was like, okay, let's get out of here.
Well,
So,
before we move on, I do want to mention when I felt the building sway, I thought, okay, maybe it will blow over because, when we were in Indonesia, there was like a
a
little
small
rumble,
one, yeah, like
right?
four, 3 point something.
Yeah, we were familiar with that. And I was like, maybe it'll blow over. But when I tell you, it felt like that building was going to tip over with us in it. It was such a warped feeling. I felt like, I'm like, am I going through a portal? Are we both about to go through a portal right now? And so I got really nervous and was like, listen, at first we thought that was it. We thought like we about to meet our maker, you know what I'm saying?
I don't know what Fran thought, honestly. I don't
I
know what
thought,
she thought. I know what I was thinking
what were
was
you
like,
thinking?
this building is gonna go like this.
Boom.
And I just thought about being, I just thought about the unthinkable, right? Like no
Yeah,
one wants to think
same.
about that. And so she's like, okay, let's go, let's leave or whatever.
So I quickly grabbed my clothes because, I just got out the
She
shower.
wait, grabbed our clothes like having a near death experience is how I called it. Fran doesn't seem to think it was that, but I said it was a near death experience. But in the midst of that, Fran was like, she was about to get in the shower, so she didn't have clothes on, but she's like, I gotta put a bra on. She'll never got out of bra. She put a bra on. She had time to put a bra on. And she like puts her clothes on, and I just had like my pajama shirt on. I didn't have any pants on, but I was like, I was just gonna grab a towel because it was by the table. And I was like, let me just put my pajamas on. So I opened my suitcase, which was downstairs, and I put my pajama pants on. And then I was looking around like what else to grab. And I thought about the passports. And I looked upstairs at the loft. But when I looked upstairs, I saw the walls, what looked at that moment to be like, look like they were cracked. I was like, oh, I'm not going up there. So our laptops was like down. I just grabbed those in my hand. And then we had our bags on the table. So we grabbed that. Fran got the keys and got her wallet and we left. When we got in the hallway, there were two guys like trying to figure out which way to go. And there seemed to be like maybe three exit points on the floor. So one to the left, one to the right, and then one like to the right and then to the left. And so we ended up going, I think, to the left because they were down to the right and they seemed to be like,
They seem lost.
yeah, lost.
Yeah.
And I'm like, green sign, go. So anyway, we went to the left
I don't
and
even remember seeing that green sign.
yeah, I saw the green
I
because
was
you
just
don't know
like,
what that's the only like
yeah,
there was, yeah, you have to look for those.
the stairs.
Yeah, so we went to there and then we were going down. We were on the 20th floor. So
20,
we
no, let that settle in.
yeah, we
We
were on
were on the 20th floor
20th
and
floor.
we had these flimsy, cozy slippers on.
Oh my So we're going down. We're going. Fred's like, take the slippers off.
I'm like,
Take the
take them
slippers off.
off,
So I
take them
take
off.
them off, and I hold the slippers. Like, not even just leave the slippers behind, right? And later we saw like some people actually left their slippers behind on the stairwells. But I grabbed the slippers, and then I keep going down with the laptops. Fran has, I don't know what you were carrying. You weren't carrying anything,
No, I
right?
wasn't carrying
You have everything
anything.
in your pocket.
Yeah, I was. Yeah,
I was before her.
yeah.
And then like I was going and going and realizing, Fran, I can't see you. Hurry up. And I
She's like,
stop and
I'm
I wait for
trying.
Fran.
I'm
And
like, just keep going,
she's like,
keep
keep
going.
going, just keep going. And I'm like, oh my God. Oh my God. And then the lady's going down real slow. Let me tell you, there's a lady going down. She's
I
like,
think she was like hurt or
yeah, I
something.
don't know. She was going down slow. She was like an older lady, but she was going down slow and she was
Nah, she
looking at
wasn't
me.
older.
Not older, but she was older than me.
Yeah,
She was
okay.
probably like in her 50s or something. And she was like looking at me and I'm like, oh my God, oh my God. And I'm going down and I'm
When I
going
tell
down.
you, I never ran down a set of steps that fast in my entire life, while also thinking at any given point, my ankle might just give out and I might just fall down them stairs. And all you could think of is like, you just got to get out. You just got to get out. Because the idea of like this building coming down on you as you're going down the steps was highly possible.
Yeah.
And it was still moving and everything was still cracking. And you could hear it. That's the
Yeah,
weird thing. It's like,
that was the scary part. That's what made us leave the apartment because it was just kind of like
you can just
like
hear.
the it wasn't, I don't necessarily know if it was the wall, like the actual walls and the structure. I think there was a lot of the, what do you call it, the drywall that was actually cracking, right? But it made it scary because in the moment you don't know, like you're
Yeah.
like, is that the building or is that like, was that just the cosmetic part of the building or is that the structure part of the building? And so,
Yeah.
yeah. So we kept running, we were running, and we get down finally to the outside. And it's always best you move away from the building because you don't know what's gonna happen. And we're in the parking lot area and we look up and we see this lady, and she's probably around like the 10th floor or something. And she looks like she's either the nanny or the mother, the grandmother. And she's like waving something, a flag or a rag or
I think she's
something
just
with
trying to
her.
get people's attention for
Yeah,
help.
wait, yeah.
Yeah.
With her granddaughter or
Mhm.
grandson or whatever. And that baby looked like it was like maybe three or something. So she was saying for help, but she was high up. So maybe she couldn't come down by herself. And the elevator's probably, you don't take the elevator, whatever. So she was saying that friend just standing there looking. And I'm
Because I
like,
was like,
friend, come on. We gotta go.
should we go back in there? I was like, should we go
We don't
back
even
in
know what
there?
like
I
we
know,
wouldn't
I
know
don't
what
even know
floor, we didn't
anything.
know what door she was in. So it was kind of like yes, wanting to help, but also like I mean, I didn't have it in me. I wasn't thinking like let's go help later. I thought, but at the same time, I'm like, as I thought about it later, I'm like, I didn't even know what door to look at.
Yeah.
Like like you
It wouldn't
weren't
have been
familiar
a,
with the building, so we'd
yeah.
have been like,
It wouldn't have been an easy
help,
find,
lady,
you
lady,
know?
help. Anyway, we move away from the building. The building was just off of a kind of like a high, not
Semi
highway,
major
but
highway.
yeah, like
Very active street.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's somewhat you expressway or something you call that. But anyway, it was sort of like a highway, like people coming off of a ramp or whatever. And there was like an underpass to it, so everyone was standing there. And then when we got to that part, just stood there, I literally just started crying. I was like, oh my God, like that was it. Like that could have been our life. And I called my mom immediately and I was like crying. She's like, oh my God, what happened? What happened? And I told her, and my mom started praying. We got through that and she's like, okay, call me, keep me posted or whatever. And we didn't have much battery. We didn't grab the battery. So we had to keep what we had. So we called our families, alerted our families. We were outside for about
At
like
least
we
four
were
hours.
in that space for about an hour. Yeah, about an
No,
hour.
about 3 hours
No,
because we
that space, not 3 hours in that space. We were like an hour and a half in that space, standing there and waiting. And then we moved closer to the
oh,
building
you talk
for
about
like
the
yeah, like for,
okay.
so then we moved in a parking lot of the building for like an hour or something. And then
And there,
eventually, go
yeah,
ahead.
and there were people out there like I'm talking about towels. One
The
guy was in his
classic
whitey tighties. I was
whiting
like, "Come on,
tighties.
bro, you could have grabbed a towel or something. Like, what you doing? Something." People out there with no shoes on, boxers.
And
I'm
it was
talking about
hot. The
like
ground was like really hot.
scorching, and that's
Like,
why I told her to, like, let's keep the slippers on because you don't know what kind of rubble you're gonna be walking
well, I
on.
don't even think you said to keep the slippers on.
Not, I said, hold the slippers. I said, hold them.
You just said take the slippers off when we were coming down.
I feel like I said, hold them.
You just
because
said
I
take,
had no
you
intention of
said
letting those
take.
slippers
No,
go.
I know you said take
Maybe.
the slippers off, but I just took them off and kind of did what I naturally would have done, which was to hold the slippers. I didn't just get rid of them. But
Yeah,
also, it's weird because we had our shoes by the door, right? We could have just threw our
we
shoes
could
on.
have,
But
but you
like
ain't
anyway,
thinking. You know what
we
I'm
ain't thinking
saying?
all the way. We were thinking somewhat, but what I wasn't thinking, I feel like it kind of crossed my head to kind of record stuff, but there was no way I had the capacity to do that because one, we're trying to like when you're in a situation like that, and we've seen this a lot. And I mean, I give it those videos and stuff were helpful, and I'm glad that people were safe. But at the same time, when you're like the middle of a crisis, the last thing you need is to divert your senses to something that's not really important. Like you need all of them, right? Okay, you need to be able to see, you need to be able to hear, and all that. And people were like recording and standing there, and I'm like, how do you record when you're in the middle of a crisis and you're trying to like anyway, so I
Yeah,
digress.
that was pretty
We've
intense.
seen a lot of that. But anyway, so we were in the parking lot.
Yeah, and then we moved eventually, like around 4 o'clock, we moved into the lobby. Had to wait another hour because they, of course, had to check floor to floor
Hmm.
to make sure it was okay for us to go in there and back upstairs by 5 o'clock. So we're thinking, okay, y'all did a thorough check, right? Wait for this.
By the
Okay.
way, Fran wanted to go back in the building after 20 minutes. Oh, okay,
It wasn't after
we could
20 minutes. It
it
was at
felt like
least an
that. Look,
hour and a
she's
half.
like, you just want to go back up and
It's
get
a
our stuff. You want
change.
to go back in because we weren't gonna stay in the building. We just need to go
No,
back up. To get anything was to get our
at least
passports.
a passport.
And then she's like, you just want to go and get it. And I'm like, Francis, you can't go into a building. Like, you can't even do this at home. You can't go into a building until they clear it, right? And she's like, you just want to go. She asked me this like 2 or 3 times. And I'm like, what are you on right now? You cannot go inside a building. Like, we just had, that was a major thing, right? So
Yeah,
anyway,
she keeps hitting the mic, guys. But yeah, so finally we get the go ahead to go upstairs, grab our things, and we'll show you a bit of a video talking about like what we saw as we're exiting the we got to the apartment.
no, you
No,
have
I'm
to say,
sorry, when we went up the stairs, we
we,
had to climb.
the lady said, she said, okay, you go up the stairs. I said, Madame, 20 flights. She said, oh, God bless you. The lady that worked there was kind of like, yeah, she was working, I guess, but she was like, "Oh, God bless you, madam." I was like,
Yeah, and it wasn't just like one, it was one of those two flights
"Yeah." Well,
situation.
every story usually has two flights of steps, but it wasn't even that. It was like flight of steps
The
were
first
almost like
flights.
double.
Yeah, the first two
It was
flights
like
were like
it was like doubled. So instead of it being maybe like 7 steps, it felt like it was like 14 steps for one flight. So doing another 14 just to clear one story, it was almost like we were
yo,
doing double, if not like 3 times
yeah.
the
I
amount of
tell you,
steps.
the amount of wheezing, people were
We were,
huffing and
we,
puffing. We was huffing and puffing. I'm like,
and I'm always the first one, like our Airbnb actually had, well, our host changed something in our reservation before we got there. And I'm like, oh, it's the same floor, right? And he's like, yeah, nothing changes, blah, blah, blah. And because I'm always looking for a high floor, the views. I'm like, no more. Put me on the first floor.
we done with the high
Put me on the
rises.
one, I don't like to be on the first floor because if a flood comes, everything gets damaged. I don't like to be in the basement. That's my thing. And then the high floor because I like to be on the views and usually get a better room, whatever. But now I'm just kind of like, give me the first floor. First, I'm like between one and I'd say
5,
1 and 5,
7
max
max.
10. I'll do
Okay.
10.
Okay.
I'll do 10.
Yeah, it took us forever to climb those 20 flights
It
of
probably was like,
stairs.
yeah, it took maybe
Okay.
like 30 minutes, I'd say. At
I
least
felt
30
longer than
minutes.
that. But everyone was struggling. Like,
Everybody was struggling.
even buff guys, okay? They was all out of breath. Everyone was out of breath. And by the time we got to the 20th step, I mean the 20th floor, you won't believe what happened.
The door was locked. Okay. This was did you say it was a brand new building? A
Brand new
brand new building,
building.
but we don't know, like maybe a year, maybe two, maybe a couple of months. And it probably was a few months. We don't even know. But the door was locked. So there was no
Well,
scan, like a
well, one
key.
side was locked and the other one didn't
Well,
have. Oh,
I
I'm
didn't get
sorry.
to
Go
that
ahead.
part. So there was no key card scanner to open the door. There was a handle, but it was locked. Okay. This is the fire stairwell. Usually that's kind of how it is, but in this building actually locks down the keys to the floor. So you can't get to another floor unless your key actually allows you to get there. Anyway, this stairwell didn't have a key card scanner.
But
So
before you even continue, if y'all cleared the floors, well, she's about to tell you what happened, but if y'all cleared the floors, then
The
you would
door
have
should have been
known.
open. Anyway, so I go downstairs to 19 and then because the door was open, so I go to 19 and I cross over to the other side of the door thinking I could just go up to 20, that door will be open, and then I go across and come back down or just open that door. I get over there, I go up to 20. Guess what? 20 doesn't have a doorknob. Nada. Zip. I could put my hand there and maybe latch something in and turn, but there was no doorknob. I couldn't put my finger in there and click. Nothing.
There was a card reader, but it
There was a
wasn't
card
working.
reader, and the card reader worked for our key card, but I couldn't
It wouldn't unlock.
swipe and then just pull it open. I'm like, so after a while, I had to go back down, back across, and then tell everybody, like, hey, it's locked, so you guys have to wait. Fran eventually came because she had the key card. Actually, I went over for the key
Mhm.
cards thinking it would unlock it. So she came with me. And then that didn't work. I'm bamming on the door. Eventually, some guy comes, like some maintenance guy, and I'm like, it doesn't work or whatever. So he goes somewhere. I don't know where he goes. And then another guy comes with the phone, and then both of them actually called someone, but then they disappeared. And then it probably took about 30 minutes for someone like bring a doorknob, put the doorknob inside there and open it.
Mind you, we haven't eaten all
We
day.
had just ordered
We
food
had about an hour workout earlier that day. Didn't eat all day.
right before
It's
it happened.
5 p.m. 90 plus heat degrees in Bangkok. We were not only famished, probably a little bit dehydrated, we were exhausted.
Yeah.
Okay. So having to wait and climb more stairs, we just didn't have it in us. But you just got to keep going.
Anyway, we let everybody else in on the other side. And then we went to the apartment, kind of like assessed what was damaged. And there wasn't much damage in the apartment. Like I said, there was,
The
we'll
bathroom
show
door
you.
was all like weird. I had to pull it out. She's like, "We gotta go." I'm like, "I gotta take a shower."
Oh, I didn't see that. So yeah, the wall, you can see like the wallpaper kind of bubbling up. So behind that, probably the sheetrock or whatever it was kind of cracked. And then up in the loft, you can see underneath the air condition, like there was some bubbles in the wallpaper. But the apartment itself was like, it was fine. You saw some of the white dust on the countertops by the sink. But other than that, inside the apartment was fine. It was the stairwell where the doorknob was not available. That side of the building was actually structurally, it was fine.
Hmm.
I don't know what, it was almost like they didn't have any sheetrock over there. It was just maybe just I don't know what they use or whatever, but everything was fine on it, no cracks. It was the side that we initially came up on. The walls were cracked. It was all over the floor. Like that part is damaged. But on each floor where the apartments were, the walls were kind of like cracked. Like you just saw all the sheetrock was cracked. You saw all the debris on the floor.
People
Um,
tried to break into
oh yeah,
the
that.
fire doors. They like
And
broke open, smashed them, and we'll show you a video, but they smashed it open just to get through the door because it was locked.
so that happened like when we first went down when it was all the earthquake was happening, when we got down to the main floor, somebody must have got there before us, right? And we saw like the window of the fire door cracked, kind of like a regular door, but then it has that little window you can kind of look through. It was cracked. And it was almost like somebody punched it because you could see like a fist went through it and there was like blood on the door. And we assumed like the door
Somebody,
was locked,
yeah.
like they couldn't get out. So if there was a fire, like you couldn't get out, like you're stuck in these stairwells. And that was the other thing too. It was almost like when you finish a project, you have the project manager walk through these things to kind of like, okay, we need a doorknob here. We need to make sure the doors are unlocked so people can get through in the case of an emergency or whatever. And we felt like that part was missing. Again, don't know how new the building was, but that was very scary because it was almost like a life and death situation, because whether it was a fire or whatever, you have people locked in a stairwell, like they
Yeah.
can't get out. You don't know what floor to go to, all the door, like still working with the key cards. Like someone needs to be in charge of like shutting down stuff so that it's easy for
They need
everybody to flow through.
they need Maya on the
They need me on this project, you know what I'm saying? Because
She's
I'll be
already
like,
vigilant. Now
listen,
she's like 10 times more vigilant.
like we need an EAP before we like check into a place. We need to be able to know where the stairwells are. We need to have our bag ready to go. Like yeah.
Yeah.
So
Needless to
anyway,
say, we didn't feel comfortable staying and we left. We
yeah.
ended up at actually a halal. hotel.
It was
So
kind of nice,
it
actually. The
was
bed was
actually
really, really,
lush.
really
It
nice.
was got a good night's sleep.
But
Um,
wait, we didn't say so.
oh my God, yeah.
Okay, I'm so grateful to God because even though we didn't want to have this experience, right? Like, one, we made it out alive.
Yeah.
Two, we felt like it could have been so much worse, and we know that it was worse for people. So we're definitely like
So
keeping them in our
grateful. Yeah.
prayers and just kind of like praying for the best and hoping that people get the support that they need. But like we travel with a lot of
A lot
luggage,
of
right?
luggage.
And so we actually left the non-essential stuff back in Chiang Mai. It's like Fran has two bags that she has to check. I have a carry-on, I have a backpack, she has a backpack, and I have my main luggage that I check.
Shout out.
And
Oh, I was gonna say shout outs to Sabine for letting us keep our luggage while we did our
yeah,
visa run.
thanks,
You're the best,
Sabine
Sabine
and hubby.
and hubby.
Yeah. Yeah, we left our bags there. And I just thought like if we had our luggage, we probably
Oh
would have
my
literally
God.
had the like tell the owner, we will keep our luggage and come back when the elevators are back in service because there is no
No
way we
way.
could have carried those luggages down. Like we would still be walking down. I feel like we would still be walking down the steps right now.
Yeah.
Because there was a couple, they had their two like check bags, big ones, and then they had their backpacks and they had like a grocery bag. He had to carry those both down the steps. I don't know how he did it, but we wouldn't have been able to do it.
When I tell you carrying all those things down the flights of steps, and then you want to know what happened?
Now I was
It
gonna say
was
even carrying our small things was a
yeah, it
challenge.
was still a challenge because mind you, our knees and legs were still shaky from climbing up the 20 flights.
Climbing up and down, and also
Yeah, no,
we
I'm
had
saying,
bar class the
oh
day
yeah,
before,
yeah,
and that morning we worked
we
out.
worked out. So we was we were already,
We were in overdrive.
we were already in overdrive.
Mhm.
So we're climbing down. She's got this carry-on. We're switching. I'm carrying it. She's carrying it. I'm sweating like a bull, okay?
Man.
And we go all the way down, and then we notice the numbers were changing. We're like
8P,
8P.
7P,
No, we
5P.
went all the way
We're like, what's
down.
P?
Parking.
And we can't go out the door because it's almost like a balcony. If you
It's
went
blocked.
out, it was just like you can see the cars there. And we're like, oh my God,
So
does
we
that
had
mean
to,
like if we get all the way down, we can't go out?
yeah,
So we ended up climbing
climbing
probably
back
like
up.
4 flights times two.
Yeah,
So eight
we had
flights
to
of
get
steps
back. Yeah.
just to get back to like level, it was like level 8, I think. Eight,
At that point, I
nine.
was like
To
just
cross
pissed
over and then go back
off.
down. And then while we were doing it, we saw the man. I was like, you coming? He said, no, no, it's okay. One of the workers, it seemed like he was going all the way down. I'm like, let me find
Man,
out. We could have went all the way down
maybe there was an exit somewhere, but we
because
couldn't
the
take any
parking
chance.
lot goes from the ground
Yeah,
and then goes up. Yeah, so we did extra.
we
It was
did
extra.
extra, and it was, I mean, my legs were shaking. Okay,
All
jelly.
of our.
Okay, again, we still haven't eaten. Right at
Yeah.
this point, it's probably like 6:30.
I'm already thinking like my body's not shaking. You know how I get when I don't eat. Like
Yeah,
I
when
don't feel like it was
she's like
adrenaline. It was all the
all
adrenaline
adrenaline. Yeah.
because I was feeling a headache, but my body like gets like I'm about to faint.
Yeah, so finally, we make it to the restaurant lobby, trying to figure out our next
We
steps.
ate.
We
We
ate,
ate the food that
talked
we didn't eat right
talked to
before it happened.
family, yep, and then they kicked us out of the lobby to go to the front of the building, which was interesting. And I was already irritable, so we found a hotel down the street because there were no grab cars, no cars available to pick us up. And we actually ended, and we'll show you the video, but we actually ended up getting two bikes,
Yeah.
two motorbikes. So I had to carry her carry-on luggage on the motorbike.
That's another thing. If we had our big luggage,
Couldn't do that.
well, one, we wouldn't have had it because we would have just left it there. But
True.
we wouldn't have been able to take a bike at all. It wouldn't have
No.
been an option. Like we would have had to wait like over an hour probably just to get a car to come pick us up. So I'm glad we again like not
Just worked out.
ideal. We're just, we didn't want this to happen. Obviously, no one wants this to happen, but it's one of those where just trying to see the blessings in the midst of the boom boom.
The
So
chaos, yeah. But yeah, so we went down a mile away, a mile-ish, 2 mile-ish. I don't remember. But anyway, we're still like still feeling the effects of just like the adrenaline rush. And I remember I didn't get a chance to tell you, but like while I was sleeping last night, just like I could feel my body still activated, like muscles activated, just energetically still activated. So I'm like, I felt like my nervous system was trying to calm down. And the next day, Maya could not walk.
Yeah. Getting up
literally,
like
literally.
getting up like it just like the legs just weren't really working. Like I could walk, but it hurt really, really bad. And as I was getting ready, was it today? No, yesterday. I was getting ready yesterday, Saturday.
Hmm. It's
I was
like
getting
all days are
ready.
blended.
Yeah, I was getting ready because I had a call in the morning, but like I was getting ready and I just felt like
Still
it was
moving.
still moving. It was still moving. And I laid in the bed last night and on that night, and I felt like the bed was just still having that like vibration. And I'm just, is that me? Is that
I
happening
actually felt
again?
it while you're sleeping.
It's weird. So I don't know. Yeah, it's
It was
weird.
just wild, 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 wild.
Anyway, that was our journey, and we are grateful to
Be
be able
there.
to share this. We are praying for all the people in Myanmar and Thailand and the surrounding countries that were impacted by this. Myanmar is a special place to me, and I am just praying for all there. So
100%. But thank you for watching and listening to our story. We just wanted to share our quick earthquake story with y'all. And hit us up if you were in the Bangkok earthquake. Let us know how you did and how you fared and where you're at now. And catch you later.